Retirement for Life. Your passport to a comfortable and confident retirement. The podcast that's equal parts education and entertainment, where we break down the retirement maze with a dash of fun and a heap of wisdom from your host, Christian Cyr CPA, the passionate retirement specialist and president of Cyr Financial Wealth Advisors, the independent registered investment advisor specializing in the Aim Retirement System.
Okay, welcome to Retirement for Life podcast. Brooke, what episode is this today?
Episode 24.
24. We are going to talk today about a 61-year-old couple that came to us. We changed their names. Their story is the same, though. They were 61 years old. They had a life-changing event, and they wanted to retire because of this life-changing event. And it's actually a bad story because they weren't able to.
Yeah.
And they had actually been to another advisor, and they just wanted a second opinion, and we're going to walk through that today. It's amazing when you think about a 61-year-old couple, great jobs, $1.7 million, that's a lot of money, and not being able to retire. Why they were not able to retire, and some of the decisions that they had made, or really the mistakes that they made. It's a fascinating case study on how retirement planning should work, and you're not going to believe what they were told originally, and eventually I think it was a 40% chance of retirement success. Basically, it was like you cannot retire, and what we did to pick them up and get their retirement back on track. But I have a couple things I want to talk about first. First of all, Emma, we have Emma with us today. Hi, Emma.
Hi.
She's here. Austin's on the sidelines today. He's got work to do. And Emma, I wanted her to be a part of this because she works on these plans all the time. But before we get started, I want to talk about something very important. I want to talk about Black Friday.
Yeah.
So what's going on? What do you have to do to get ready for Black Friday shopping? Like Black Friday actually started like 5 months ago, didn't it?
Yeah, it feels like
Yeah.
it. Mm-hmm.
It's not what it used to be.
What do you remember? What would it used to be?
I mean, I used to get up. Well, actually, we would actually leave after Thanksgiving dinner and start getting in line at Target or whatever.
Yeah.
And I used to take my girls for these, whatever was on their list. Now it's all online.
I remember going.
In Walmart.
Yeah.
I used to go to Walmart at midnight. Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Jamie and I would go. So what's everyone getting for Black Friday? What's the deals everyone's looking for?
Connor is trying to convince me to buy a TV for a house we don't even own yet. So that's a no for this year.
Yeah. And Mason, he has at the top of his list, there's a Costco gaming chair that Sean actually bought first because he's working from home now, and he was told that the gaming chairs are better than regular office chairs.
Nice.
And it is really comfortable. So that's how Mason decided that's what he wants.
That's
Yeah.
funny.
I kind of wonder if I should get one of those for myself. I have a problem with office chairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be making a video, and I'm just going to say it. As of this morning, I weigh 237 pounds. And when I'm taking a video, sometimes I'll be shooting it, and all of a sudden my office chair will just go because the hydraulics aren't big enough.
Yeah, well, this chair's rated for 300 pounds, so you should be good on
there
this
you go.
one.
Maybe I should get. Can we write that off?
I'll send you the link.
I do want to get to Neil and Jamie, but before we do, I just want to tell a story about this test I just recently took. So I've been studying for about 3 months to become a certified financial planner. It was a lot of work. It was not easy. I felt like, honestly, if I'm being transparent, I think if I would have taken the test 15 years ago, I think it would have been easier. I don't know if it's just because I'm getting older, but for whatever reason, I did not have confidence going to this test. Well, guess what happened? The computer broke on the day of the test. I spent 2 hours chatting on the phone because you can't pick up and even call anybody anymore. The world has changed so much that I'm literally having to text India.
Which you love.
I hate it. I hate it. You know, when we're in the office, like Connor just sent me a message, like da-da-da. I'm like, why don't you just stand up, walk over to the old man, and just talk to him?
Mm-hmm.
No, everyone's in this texting only.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, we have a customer. His sole job is when you want to get a hold of AT&T, his sole job is to make sure that you can't talk to a live person.
Mm-hmm.
His life is built around making you message some chatbot at AT&T. It's boy, how did we get there? I'm taking the test.
Yeah.
So I'm on the chat bot with India, and it's remarkable. Even the broken English, you can tell the person on the other line or the other end of the chat. Even the English is broken on the chat.
Yeah.
So it's like, you computer broken.
Oh.
That's what they're saying.
Yeah.
So anyway, long story short is I didn't get to take the test. I got delayed a week, and I find myself in an actual testing center. This is a 6-hour test, and it's split up between 2 3-hour sections. Section 1, it took every second of that 3 hours in section 1 to answer every question. And I walked out of there for my break. They give you a 40-minute break. I walked downstairs to a little French coffee shop, got a little pastry, little nourishment for part 2.
Mm-hmm.
I picked up the phone, I called my wife, and I said, I did so poorly on the first half of this exam, I don't think I'm going in for part 2. And she talked me into going back upstairs and taking the second part. And the second part, I just continue to feel like I am failing this test. I've wasted 3 months of my life. I should have done this 10 years ago. And lo and behold, you hit the I'm done button. And it
Hold
was a
your
pass.
breath.
It
Yeah.
was a pass. I looked up, and I'm sitting in a testing center with 14 other people, and you're supposed to be very quiet.
Oh, God.
And all I wanted to do was just jump up and down and just, woo! But you can't. So it's like there's this inner excitement. You're like, and then you get out of the room and you go, yes. I told the lady, I can't remember her name, and she was a super nice lady. I go, can you believe I passed? She goes, I knew you were going to pass. Well, anyway, here's the thing. So I cannot say right now, sitting here today, that I am a certified financial planner. I can say that I passed the test.
Mm-hmm.
I've received emails from the CFP board saying, congratulations, you passed the test. But we actually made a mistake. I asked Brooke, I go, okay, let the world know that I'm a CFP. And then we found the rules, Brooke, didn't we?
Yeah.
What did it say?
Well, we can't be putting that anywhere. Until
We need
have confirmation.
An official confirmation, which will come in 4 to 6 weeks.
Oh.
And you guys spent all that time making fun of me
I
for
know.
not wanting to put CFA until I was officially official.
I know.
I just want, when we hired a CFA for the office, I wanted the world to know that we had an investment expert. All right. Let's get on to Jamie and Neil. They come into the office, and they are 61 years old. They've had a life-changing event. Jamie's mom passes away at age 90, okay? And they have worked their butts off their entire life, and they just don't feel like they've had time to really do anything for themselves for the last 30 years. So we sit them down, and the first thing we look at is this one-page financial plan. They have actually gone to another advisor already, and they did not have confidence in that plan.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, Emma, how long typically, if you're going through the Aim Retirement System, how many pages is the financial plan report, would you say?
It's normally around 40 pages. We have all of the cash flows, expenses, income for every year remaining in your retirement. We have all the assumptions. Everything's in there.
All right, this is a one-page plan. Look at what they brought to us. On the one-page plan, there was no numbers. There was just assumptions. There was 5 assumptions. So this advisor had said, good, you got $1.6 million. That's assumption number 1. Actually, almost $1.7 million. You want to take Social Security age 62 when you retire? Great. Number 2, number 3, what's your expenses? $5,000 a month? Okay, fine. Number 4, keep your investments the way they've been. They've been doing great. Fantastic. Final assumption, you're going to die at what age did they have it? Do you remember?
85.
85. Okay. So we take that, we put that into the plan, and it looks great. It's like, yeah, you have 1.7. That's a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you think we should start when we're looking at this?
Well,
Probably the investments is the most important if they're that close to retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the assumptions they had was that they had 80% of their money in the stock market. What do you think about that?
I think
According to a recent study, the average American feels like they need nearly $1.5 million to retire comfortably. That's a 53% increase compared to the same study just 4 years ago. But is that the right number for you? And are you doing everything you can to maximize your financial situation? The AIM Retirement Assessment can help you figure that out. This free assessment is a simple 3-step process. Answer a few questions about yourself. Spend 15 minutes discussing your situation with one of our retirement specialists, and then we get to work. You'll receive a customized report detailing your exposure to the 7 biggest risks in retirement and the 3 most impactful action items you can take to supercharge your retirement. And if you already have a financial plan, this assessment will help you see what real retirement planning looks like. Get your AIM assessment today and see the difference between a financial generalist and a retirement specialist. Go to aimassessment.com today to get started. That's aimassessment.com.
When you're that close to retirement, you should never have 80% in the stock market
Why not?
because you can't afford to lose it at that point.
But the stock market always goes up, right?
Not always.
No.
Most of the time, but not always. And if you're right before retirement, that is the worst possible time to be losing money in the stock market.
All right, I'm going to put Emma on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
There is a period of time in the United States stock market, and I know this because I looked it up yesterday, where the stock market went down 86%. What period of time would you say that was?
Oh, gosh.
I love putting people on the spot. Let me give you a hint.
Okay.
It was 90 years ago.
I was going to say the Great Depression.
The Great Depression. The stock market went down 86%. Now, in my lifetime, the second worst drawdown was the Great Financial Crisis. That was about a 50, depending on what number you see, 55 to 58% drawdown in 16 months. And it goes from there. But the problem is if you have 80% of your money in the stock market, most of the time it does go up, right?
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't. If you have 80% of your money in the stock market in the Great Depression, you basically have just lost 75% of your portfolio.
Right.
If you have 80% of your money in the stock market during the Great Financial Crisis, your $1.6 million is now $800,000 or less.
Yeah.
And so it's just not prudent. So you have to change the investments. So I said, look, I know you have this financial plan where you're going to continue to invest the way you've been investing, but that's not prudent.
Nope.
So we did a 60-40 portfolio, which isn't a big tweak, but you're right. Next, I want to talk about expenses. Okay. Andrea, what % of people walk into the Aim Retirement System knowing exactly how much money they are going to spend?
I would say maybe 5 to 10% have a good idea of what they're spending, but I still don't think that they are really certain.
Now, if you're a CFA like Emma is, and she's about to build a house, I know that you probably have a budget. Do you have a spreadsheet for your budget?
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
Most people don't walk in with a spreadsheet.
Right.
with a budget.
No.
In fact, the people that do bring in their spreadsheet, they're also wrong. So we do the top-down approach, okay? All right, so walk me through the top-down approach. What is it?
So we start with your income and what you're bringing in.
Okay. Their income was $230,000. They told me that they were spending how much a month?
$5,000.
$5,000. By the way, if you're listening to this, you should be watching this on rflshow.com. That is $60,000. Where's that $230,000 going? $60,000 of, I'll call this general expenses. What else do we want to take out of
We
here?
also know what they're spending in taxes.
Taxes was $58,000 for them. What else?
They have their house, their mortgage payment,
Okay.
taxes, and insurance on the house.
So by the way, what we didn't say is that their mortgage payment was $38,000 a year, and they had 1 year left. So they were going to they had 12 months to retire. They were going to wait to pay off until the mortgage was paid off.
Yep.
And then, yes, what comes with the mortgage? You have a house that has property taxes, insurance, and maintenance. That was another $10,000. Also, we have this
Income tax.
health insurance benefits. This is the income tax right
Okay, there we
here.
go.
The health insurance benefits were $14,000. Okay. Now, the problem is all this doesn't add up to $230,000.
No.
So what do you tell somebody when you uncover this?
Well, that generally they're spending more than they say they're spending or than they think they're spending.
If you say you're spending $60,000 a month, then where is all this $230,000 going? And this is the top-down approach. And what we discovered was in their case is that they were actually spending close to $80,000 a year. So we had to change that. And when you talk about this, you notice what's missing on this. It's like they're walking to work,
Yeah.
right? There's
Yep.
no car expenses.
Car
Yeah.
payment. Yep.
So the lady, Jamie, she said, well, included in my 60 or now $78,000 annual budget is a car, which is great. So she's making her car payments out of that budget. But guess about the guy, Neil? He was in the corporate world. What do you think he did for a
Company car.
For the last 20 years, he had a company car.
Mm-hmm.
So we had to add a company car to his bonus or to his expenses.
Mm-hmm.
We had to increase their expenses. And then we get to the interesting thing. You remember he wanted a motorhome?
Right.
She had received a $200,000 inheritance from her mom, Jamie, and they were going to spend it on a motorhome. That was their dream. So it makes sense at first. I just got $200,000 from my mom, and I'm going to spend it on a motorhome. Well, on the bad side, the inheritance, a lot of that inheritance is what?
Taxable.
Right.
They had a $200,000 qualified annuity. So for those of you who don't know, when you get a qualified annuity,
Non-qualified, right?
or non-qualified annuity, thanks, it comes with a price tag, which is taxes.
Right.
And so they had to pay taxes on that. So really, mom only left them $150,000. And then you get to the guy. So Andrew, you're married. When your husband says, "Hey, sweetie, can I buy something?" Does he kind of fudge the price tag a little bit?
Sure. Yeah.
I do this all the time.
Sounds a little better.
It's like, "Hey, I'm going to get some golf clubs, Jamie." And she's like, "How much is that going to cost?" I'm like, "Well, it's like $400. Well, you fudge it a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, that $200,000 motorhome had a sticker price of $210,000, and he forgot to include sales tax. So it was really a $225,000 motorhome. So this plan just keeps on getting worse and worse and worse. The more we're digging into this, the more we're learning about stuff. And then you start talking about a travel budget. Does the motorhome, does it go on solar power?
Nope.
Gas cost.
Gas, insurance. Is there such a thing as a motorhome that never needs repairs?
Mm-mm.
Nope.
No. So we add $6,000 a year of travel costs because that's what they want to do. That's their retirement dream.
Yeah.
So what do you think their plan looks like at this point?
It's steadily going down is retirement success.
It was going down and down and down. They came to us. We put that one-page financial plan in that the other guy did for them. It said 100% chance of retirement success. At this point, we're down to 65%, right? And what's our bar? Where do we want to see a chance of success?
We want to see at least 80.
So they're down to 65, and now you can just see his face is getting like bleaker and bleaker. But we're not done beating these people up because now we have to talk about longevity. Why in the world, Mr. Neil, that was his name. Well, it's not his real name, but why in the world are you taking Social Security at 62? Why? What's the deal? Why do people take Social Security at 62? I'm asking you guys.
Well, I mean, people, they've put into it, so they want to start taking it. They feel like it's owed to them, so why not start taking it?
How often is that the right choice?
Very rarely.
I would say almost never.
Almost never, right? But he says he's got a good point. He says, my dad died at age 76. We have a terrible health history, and we hear that a lot, right?
Yep.
You know about this. My dad spent the last two years in a nursing home, and I just want to spend it now. I said, okay, well, that is not a good thing for you. Let me tell you something. You have a wife. Why does that matter for Social Security?
Well, because if he's waiting longer, then she gets a better benefit when he passes away. There's survivor benefit.
Survivor benefits, right? And his wife's mom just passed away at the age of 90. You have to consider your wife. So I'm looking at this plan, and by the time we're done with it, it ends up that they have a 43% chance of retirement success. And now we start to ask important questions. What's a good question to ask a person who has a 43% chance of retirement success? Where would you go with this?
I mean, are they willing to work longer?
Right? Okay, so that's a good question. So I ask, if you had to choose between working longer and maybe looking at changing your Social Security strategy, they said, we don't want to work another day.
Right.
I said, okay, how about choosing between working longer and maybe, just maybe, cutting back a little bit on your expenses, your lifestyle. They said, we don't want to work another day. I said, if you had to choose between working longer and maybe getting rid of your house, selling your house at, say, age 85, which one of those would you pick? We don't want to work a day longer.
Yep.
And I said, what if we took about 20% of your nest egg and moved it to mailbox money? We've talked about mailbox money, income stability, guaranteed income for life for both you and your spouse, or working longer. What do you think they said? We don't want to work another day.
Yeah.
So we have this plan, which came to us with a 100% chance of success. We've whittled it down to the truth, to where they have 43% chance of success. And then we start propping them back up. Social Security, what's their optimal strategy?
Starting at age 70.
Which is exactly the opposite of what they want to do, right? Okay. And then we have this. What's this?
Selling their home. We have it at age 85.
Age 85. And then we turned on this, which
Mailbox
is the...
money.
And then, oh, by the way, we shaved off their monthly expenses by 10%. And what was their chances of retirement success?
90%.
Fantastic. So that is the story of Neil and Jamie. I think when you hear about a 61-year-old who has $1.7 million and cannot retire, what's your first thought when you hear that?
I mean, normally, if they have that much money, they can retire, but expenses play a huge factor.
Expenses play a huge factor. And that's why you have to ask the questions. I don't think you can do anything in 30 minutes. Typically, how long does it take us to get through the Aim Retirement System with a client?
Normally at the first meeting, probably an hour and a half to go through all the proposals we have for them.
Yeah. And then what's the second meeting? When do we actually deliver a proposal to them?
Our strategy visit, we'll go through everything. And just what we did with Neil and Jamie, we go through every step and show them what they need to do and how they can meet their goals and have a happy retirement.
I think retirement planning is like looking at a picture, a painting, if you will. The more you look at it, the more you see.
Yeah.
And this was the case for Neil and Jamie. So if you do have $1.6 million and you are 61, don't listen to a podcast and decide if you can retire. Everyone's situation is different. I think the importance, what this demonstrates is that I've always said the most important thing in retirement is choosing the right advisor. I have said that to thousands of people in my life because I think if you're going to trust somebody else with your retirement savings, I think that you're not going to be in control of a lot. In fact, the one thing you are in control of is choosing that person, or better yet, that team. So I wrote that document, 15 pages of questions to ask your financial advisor. I think that's a great document. Brooke, where is that document at?
You can just look up 5toask.com.
5toask.com. It's a free brochure. It's right here, actually.
There it is.
And I think, I don't know, don't exaggerate. How many times has this been downloaded? Like 1 million times? Not
Maybe
quite.
like 500.
I think it's a great document for people to download because it's just my heart, my free advice of how to pick a financial advisor. I think that that is the single biggest thing when choosing retirement is who you work with. But, okay, we are getting ready for Thanksgiving.
Yep.
We are putting a bow on this podcast. We are going to take a 3-day break. We're going to eat turkey. I'm brining a turkey tomorrow. I brine it for a full 24 hours.
Nice.
It goes into a cooler, and it sits in a nice cold salt bath with sage and rosemary and thyme. And then it goes on my wood smoker, and then we eat it. And so that's what I'm doing. So I wish you guys all a very happy, Merry Thanksgiving, and we'll see you guys on the next show. Thanks.
Investment advisory services provided by Cyr Financial Inc., SEC registered investment advisor. All content on this podcast is for information purposes only and should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. Material presented is believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations are made by our firm as to another party's informational accuracy or completeness.